Hello, brides and grooms. This is Ben Lucas of Nom Creative, your Seattle portrait and wedding photographer, and welcome to my wedding tip series. Today we are talking about your timeline. So the number one question that I get is how many hours of coverage do I need? A way that can be rephrased is what should my timeline look like? Now, I'm going to help you with that, and the number one thing is that an average wedding, at least for me, is about 8 hours. Now, some go more. I've done it as much as 14 hours. Some go less. I do as little as 3. That is more for the elopements. You can get by with 6, although there are some things you'll have to sacrifice and time will be a little bit tight. So average is 8. I do a lot of 10s, and then if you're having extra traditions, you might need more. But for this video, let's talk about an 8-hour timeline. So my first tip for you is start backwards. Start at the end of your day and work towards the beginning. That's going to be so much better for you and your sanity trying to figure out how much time you need everything and when stuff is supposed to happen. So let's say your venue's kicking you out at 10 p.m. After that, they'll have like an hour of cleaning or something, and then you'll have to be out by 11. That's pretty standard for a lot of venues. So end your day 10 p.m. What do you do right before that? Well, dancing. Okay, so the rule of thumb for dancing is you want to have as much dancing as your guests can handle. That's different for everybody, but you want to leave them wanting just a little bit more. It is so much better to go to a wedding where you had a lot of dancing and say, oh, I wish there could have been a little more dancing, rather than having too much time for dancing. People leave, you're the last ones there, you're cleaning up, there's no grand exit because people aren't there. So let's say about an hour for dancing for our sample timeline today. Okay, so what happens before dancing? Well, you're going to have all your traditions. This is totally up to you. Any traditions or games that you're going to be doing during your ceremony, definitely talk with your DJ and your planner. They're going to know so much more about your options. But let's say you've got your toasts, your bouquet toss, garter toss if you're doing that, first dance, of course, if you're doing a money dance or a shoe game. Again, you can talk to your DJ or planner. They will know what all of these are. So let's say an hour for all of that. Some of that could include toasts, but usually you start the toast as people are starting to finish their meal. So right before that, you have dinner. Okay, so right now you have a 7 p.m. dinner. What happens right before that? Before that's cocktail hour. Now, if you did a first look, and I'll cover that in a future video. Hi, Bjorn! Hello. Hello. I love you too. Sorry about that. Apparently the rest of this video will be brought to you by my helper, Bjorn. Alright, so you have a 7 p.m. dinner. What happens before that? Before that is cocktail hour. So if you've done a first look, and we'll talk about that in a future video as well, then your cocktail hour is reserved for you signing the wedding documents as well as family photos. So now you have 6 p.m. family photos. Continuing to work backwards, what happens before cocktail hour? Well, ceremony. So in our example, we have a 5 p.m. ceremony. Your ceremony might be shorter and it might be longer. Let's just, for the sake of easiness, call it an hour. So we have a 5 p.m. ceremony. Before the ceremony, we're doing the first look, followed by the creatives and bridal party portraits. I like to have an hour and a half to do all of that so you can have all the beautiful artwork that you see on my site. Other photographers may differ, but the more time you give your photographer, the happier they will be. So we will talk about a first look in future videos. I'll put a link to that in the description once it gets uploaded. But the quick answer is the first look is the time where you guys get to see each other before the wedding. Creates a beautiful moment, and I'll talk about why you might want to consider that. So we have 3:30 portraits, and an hour before that, we start prep. Now, usually it's about 20 minutes for the bride and then 20 minutes for the groom, so that way both sides can have adequate prep coverage. And that leaves a little bit of a buffer time if you have any other ceremonies or traditions for your wedding day. But of course, it never hurts to have a little bit of buffer in your wedding timeline either, because Murphy's Law happens, things do run late, and so having a little bit of buffer in your time is never a bad thing. So here is our finished timeline. I'll definitely put this in the description, but more important than the numbers I have is how I got there. So hopefully this was helpful in getting your timeline put together. Be sure to talk with your photographer, DJ, and planner so you can come up with a timeline that works best for your wedding. My helper Bjorn thanks you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to put your comments down of what questions you have for your wedding, and I'll make a video about it. Thank you guys so much, and be sure to subscribe. See you in the next video.